Hi everybody, Carmen here with Quality Sewing and Vacuum. And for this week's How Do I, we are going to discuss tips for selecting a new sewing machine. And we're really gonna focus in on all of the new features that machines have to offer today. So maybe you haven't purchased a sewing machine in a while, or maybe the sewing machine that you use was gifted to you, but we are going to go over all of the different things that are out there in sewing machines that really make sewing easier. So I'm standing here in my Tukwila location, and you can see that this is a big store, and we have a lot of different sewing machines, right? And there's more machines here. So if you haven't looked for a new sewing machine recently, this may be overwhelming because there are many great brands. At Quality Sewing, we carry almost all of the brands. We have Foff and Viking, Brother, Baby Lock, Bernina, Juki, Janome. That is a lot of different brands, but there's some unique things about different brands, and there's some unique features of machines that are on many of the different brands. So today we're gonna sort of just go through what some of those things are and some of the things I would be looking for if I was going to purchase a new machine. So the very first thing that I would ask myself if I was going to be buying a new sewing machine is, what sort of sewing do I want to be doing, right? Because for most of us, when we're ready to get a new machine, it's because either A, we're starting to sew. We want to learn to sew, so we need a sewing machine, right? That could be one reason. Another reason might be that my old machine is dying. It's not working, right? Yeah. And a third reason might just be that your machine doesn't do something that you want it to be able to do, right? Maybe it doesn't have a one-step buttonhole. Maybe it's a three-step buttonhole, and you are doing a lot of garment construction, and you just need something that has a better buttonhole system. Or maybe you're getting into quilting, and you need a machine that has more space, so that way your quilt can go in there, okay? So think about what it is that you want to be sewing, right? If you currently have a machine, you should definitely write down what are the things that you love about the machine, right? Because maybe there's a few features on your current machine that you adore, and you should make sure you get those in your next machine, right? And you should also write down the opposite of that. If there's a couple of things that you have a really hard time with your machine, then you should write that down too and make sure that gets resolved when you purchase a new machine, okay? So those are the two things, the two questions I would ask. The other thing that I do recommend is, if you can get hands-on and test out a sewing machine, that might be helpful as well. But today I'm going to take you through some of my favorite features. So you can see here I'm sitting in front of a couple of different machines. I have some Brothers, I have some Foffs, a Baby Lock, a Bernina that I brought over here so we can talk about some different features. And right now I'm going to show you some different things on this Brother machine. So right here, this is just, this is a midline Brother machine. It has a nice touch screen here. It has a lot of different buttons for getting to your different stitches right here. Up here, it has easy threading. One of the things that I hear a lot from customers is that tension is a real problem for them on their older sewing machines. And what is great is that these on almost, I would say all new machines, they have made it so easy to thread that you really don't have tension issues because the new tension systems are lay-in. You no longer have to go up and around a spring, and these lay-in tension systems keep your tension better every time. And so let's just show you how you thread this machine. So this guy here, it's really lovely. It tells you what to do. It says we're going to follow the solid line. The dash line is for bobbin winding, and we're just going to go 1, 2, and we're going to go down here to 3, up to 4, and then we will go down to 5 and 6, and then I'm just going to lower my presser foot so you can see better. And then this machine has this great needle threader. Voila, my needle is threaded. So for me, one of the number one things I really want a needle threader. But needle threaders are not necessarily limited to really fancy machines, right? There are needle threaders in more basic machines, like this machine up here. This is called the Baby Lock. It also has a needle threader. So a lot of machines have needle threaders, and a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about, you can get on a lot of different price points of machines. So, depending on what's going to serve you best, there are a lot of options out there. So the other thing that I can point out here while we look at this Baby Lock Zeal is that this machine is a mechanical sewing machine, meaning that it is not electronic, so that everything, it means that you don't have as much ability to adjust your stitches, and you don't have really cool features like needle up and needle down that I'm going to show you in the minute, or thread cutters. And how to select is you just select things via dial. But it does still have the basic stitches that you need, because it is important to make sure that you do get all the stitches you want on the machine that you're going to pick out, right? We all need a straight stitch. We're all going to want a zigzag. We're going to want some hemming stitches, and you're going to want some stretch stitches. And stretch stitches are what allow you to sew on knits. And so most of the things that we wear, lots of our clothes have some form of a knit, meaning they have a stretch. And you need a stitch that's going to stretch with that fabric, and so you really are going to want some stretch stitches as well. And then for me, I also really want a one-step buttonhole, meaning that I just tell the machine to do it and it does the entire buttonhole. I don't have to go backwards and then tack and then go forwards and then tack. I want a one-step buttonhole. It makes it so much easier, and that's an electronic machine is going to give you that function. So here we're back to this brother, and I have a little bit of fabric here. And so let me just show you some of my other favorite features on this machine. So I'm going to go to my straight stitch, and we can adjust. I need to turn that guy off here. Let's just flip off my alphabet guy. He got turned on when I was bumping buttons. We're just going to reboot here. Okay. We're on our straight stitch. It tells me right here on my screen what foot I need to put on. Okay, so it tells me I need my J foot. I love the touch screens, and I love these screens. This one isn't actually a touch screen, but you would adjust your stitch width or your stitch length right here on the screen, and you can also adjust your tension. What I love about the screen is it gives me a lot of information, right? It's telling me what foot, I can see my stitch. If I was to go to one of these like fun decorative stitches, right? Like if I was to go to, okay, yes, cancel selection, and if I wanted to go to number 23 here, and I have this fun stitch here. If I wanted to adjust something, you can see how it adjusts on the screen. Let's go to 2, and this is really the one I wanted. There we go. So if I wanted to adjust things, I can adjust, and it shows me on the screen what I'm doing. Okay, so we are going to go back. Let's go back to our normal straight stitch. There we go, and let's just do a little bit of sewing. So this machine here, it has the needle down, it has the thread cutters, and it has the presser foot lifter. So I'm going to just tell it that I want it to go and needle down here. So the needle stops in the down position. And now every time when I am going to be sewing, it's going to stop in the down position. And this is so great because then I don't have to have my hands, I don't have to turn my hand wheel, I don't have to touch anything, and my needle stays down, so I can pause and stop at any moment of my sewing. So that is one of the features that I really love. And then this also has the thread cutters, so I can just cut it here. Another feature that is really lovely is how this guy also has that presser foot up and down. So if I start sewing, I can do my presser foot here, or I can ask it to raise here. So my needle is still down, and once again, that gives me more flexibility for turning. Okay, we are gonna cut those threads. Flip this over here. So the other thing that a lot of machines come with that is super handy is the accessory feet. So figuring out which feet come with the machine and making sure you're getting all of your basic feet is awesome. So here is that buttonhole foot that I was talking about. So this is an awesome buttonhole foot, and it does a one-step buttonhole. Most machines are going to come with a zipper foot, an overcast foot, a decorative stitch foot. I guess I should be putting them back here. A blind hem foot, and a sewing on the button foot. So, and I actually flip-flop the names of these just so in case you have these at home. This is really your blind hem foot, and this is your overcast foot. So just in case you were while following along there. But it comes with extra bobbins, seam ripper, all of those things. So let me show you, I would like to show you quick that automatic buttonhole. So we're gonna raise this guy up. We're gonna put on our buttonhole foot. And I didn't think about, we're gonna pretend that this bobbin is our button since I didn't grab a button. But if this was our button, we would put that there, and then it's gonna make a buttonhole the right size for our button. So we're going to snap that guy on there, and I'm just gonna grab some fabric so that way we can do our buttonhole here. And we're just gonna set this guy down, and I'm gonna pull down this little lever here, and then I'm gonna go over here and I am gonna select 77. And you can see up here, this machine, for example, has a lot of different shapes and types of buttonholes. So we're doing 77, which is a pretty standard buttonhole. It's a curved buttonhole, right? I guess 97 would be more standard, but those two are probably the most used buttonholes. They have a stretch buttonhole, the keyhole buttonhole, lots of different options depending on what you want to do. But what I love is now when I just hit start, it's just gonna go down here and do my button for me. I'll hold on to my tail here so it doesn't get too caught in there. If I was worried about it, I could grab it, I suppose, but we'll just hold on to it. And it's gonna go through and do this entire buttonhole for us, all in one step. Just like that. Cut my threads. And just like that, you can see that we have this really lovely buttonhole that was all done in one step. So pretty awesome. I love an automatic buttonhole. Let me just put this guy back. Put this guy back on here. And then the snap-on feet are also super handy. So I don't know if you notice, those feet just snap on and off, which is just really lovely. So I do want to show you one more thing here for something that I would look for in a sewing machine. And that would be something that sews on all types of fabric, right? So I am going to just take here, we're going to start. I can tell my machine to do my automatic tie-off for me over here at the beginning. And I can also tell it to cut off if I want. So then when I start here, it's gonna go forward, backwards, lock my stitch for me. So that's another fun, nice ease of use. And this guy has a speed control. I'm gonna turn it down here. And then when I tap my reverse button, at the end, it'll go forward, backwards, lock my stitch. And then because I turned the thread cutters on, it will also cut my thread. I can also on this machine even have it raise my presser foot for me if I want, which is pretty slick because it has these ease of use features. And what I have found on most sewing machines, the ease of use features are all right in the front of the machine that you can get to really easily without going into layers of screens. Okay, so then we're gonna flip this over here, and I'm going to go to my stitch number 5 on this machine, which is called, it's like a triple stitch. And the triple stitch, here, we're gonna lower my presser foot. It's gonna go forward, backwards, forward, backwards. You'll notice that time it did the tack straight down. And this can be a straight stretch stitch. So if you are sewing on knits and you want to be able to have it stretch, that's a straight stretch stitch, but it also is just a really nice heavy duty stitch, right? Because it's 3 stitches going forward, backwards. So in this way, what I'm trying to show you sort of here is like, we're gonna sort of make it look like we have a pair of jeans, right? So now I have 3 layers. I go 6, I go 9. And we are gonna sew, I'm gonna lower that presser foot. We're gonna go back to our normal straight stitch. And we are just going to sew. Oh yeah, I've got it all now, the tie off, so it's tying off for me there. Go a little faster. We are just gonna go up and over and through that thick fabric without a problem. And then what is amazing is then we can sew straight on to this lightweight fabric. and it is just gonna do a great job, which is awesome. So I can stop here, and if I wanted, I could have done my tie off, but we'll just cut the threads, pull this up, and you can see that this machine went from this heavy duty, we've got 9 layers of denim here, so we're going 3, 9, 3, and that's sometimes where machines get hung up, and then right onto a sheer shimmery fabric. And so what I love about this is the sort of thing that I would want my machine to do, right? Because I want to just be able to sew on everything and not have to worry about what is going on with my machine. Yes, you might want to put a denim needle in normally or have a different needle, but you can see that without changing anything, many of the new machines today are just going to be able to sew on all types of fabric. So that would be something that I would look for. So now let's talk about the size of the machine itself. So you can see up here, I have a nice little FOF machine. It has a small compact size, which might actually be what you're looking for if you're looking for a travel machine, right? Something that's easy to take with you. And you can see this FOF here, it has that needle up, needle down. It has those thread cutters. It has the tie up at the beginning and the end. You can see this guy shows your stitches over here. It has a needle threader, speed control, really similar things that we're looking at this brother machine, but up here on this FOF, but it has a pretty small area here. So if, let's say, you are doing a lot of quilting, then one of the things you may want to look at is getting a machine that has more space from the needle to the side. So down here you can see this guy has a decent amount of space from the needle over, but then if we go over here, you can see how much more space this machine has. And so that is pretty, so there's a lot of different options in the size of the machine. So that would be something for you to consider if you're doing lots of large projects. Another thing is whether or not maybe you want embroidery. So you can see even on this machine here, this is a smaller machine. This is sewing and embroidery, but it can do beautiful embroidery. So, and a lot of times it's actually a pretty good value to get a machine that's a combination machine where it does sewing and embroidery, because it can do a lot of the sewing features I just talked about, but they can also do embroidery. Embroidery is really easy and fun. Or maybe you want to do big embroidery. So the machine that I have over here, it has a much bigger hoop, right? And bigger space. And so it can do much larger embroidery because it is a bigger machine. So we're not going to go really deep into embroidery. That feels like maybe that's a different video that we'll do. So look for that in the future. We'll probably do a video on how to pick out an embroidery machine, because there's lots of features that are just connected to embroidery. And today I really wanted to focus on sewing machines. And I think the only other thing that I meant to mention that I sort of forgot is that most machines today are going to have a free arm. And the free arm is really handy. You're able to pull this off, and then you can sew a sleeve or sew a pair of pants, and that makes it really lovely. Some machines are also going to have a knee lift like this one does. I don't have it out, but that allows you to lower and raise your presser foot with it's a bar that comes out of the side of the machine here, and then you can lower and raise your presser foot, which is this guy here, up and down with that. So you can keep your hands on your fabric. So I hope that this was helpful. I would encourage you, if you live locally in Western Washington, we have 11 retail locations, and we'd love for you to come in and test drive a machine. That is a great way for you to find the right machine. If you don't live locally, we have a great customer service team that you can call, and they can answer your questions and help guide you into a machine that's going to resolve all of any problems you're having and serve all of your sewing, quilting needs. So I hope that this was helpful. If you have questions, just throw them here. If you comment here, we will reply. We are really good at that. And we would love to help you on your journey of finding a new sewing machine.